Sensory integration is the amazing concept that when all our senses are working together and our brains are making sense of information coming from the world, we can more effectively do just about everything. SI helps with activities from brushing teeth to playing ball to writing an essay. Here's a story about it. Kira was 11 years old and she was falling apart. She refused to go to school, she had violent tantrums, and she had stopped showering, wearing shoes, or changing her clothes. She was smart, sarcastic, and utterly miserable. I'm an occupational therapist, so her mom brought her to me for help. When I first met Kira, I had difficulty standing anywhere close to her. She reeked of filthy clothes, toe jam, and oily hair. Her clothes were stained with dirt and old food. Her long, blonde princess hair was sticking up in matted hunks all over her head. Her blue eyes glared with defiance and hostility. I was both taken aback and intrigued. Kira was fierce, angry, and mean. She was so uncomfortable in her skin she couldn't stand herself or anyone else. Her mom said that Kira was extremely sensitive to clothing textures, water on her skin, loud noises, bright lights, and smells. Stress exacerbated all this. So what's going on with Kira? Basically, she's dysregulated. The messages her senses are sending her brain are not giving her accurate feedback about the world around her. Her brain is stuck in a fight-or-flight reaction loop where everything seems irritating and uncomfortable, even when objectively, it's not. Here's how it works. Information from the world comes in through all the senses. These messages are sent to the brain for processing. Then the brain sends out signals to the muscles and body to tell it how to respond to the input. Say I wanted to throw a baseball. I'd definitely use my visual sense. I'd also use touch to feel the ball in my hand. Body awareness would help me with aiming the ball. Balance would keep me standing after my throw. And my ears might even hear the ball thunk into the catcher's mitt. So what's up with body awareness and balance? Well, there are actually 7 senses. In addition to sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell, there are 2 lesser-known senses: proprioception, our body awareness sense, and vestibular, our sense of balance. These 2 senses are extremely important, and they both help a lot with self-regulation. With kids like Kira, the brain does not make accurate sense of incoming sensory info from one or more of the sensory systems. When the brain doesn't provide solid messages about the environment, everything seems disturbed and agitated. Dysregulation can manifest as fear, withdrawal, avoidance, inattention, or being very controlling or angry. To be clear, these reactions are not about attention-seeking or misbehaving. Kira's scrambled brain messages tell her that touch and noise are insanely irritating. Seams on her socks feel like cords relentlessly chafing her feet. Her skin is not actually ultrasensitive, but the brain perceives touch as painfully intense. So it is. Kira has avoidance of touch and sound, but she seeks out other sensations. She craves movement and powerfully using her muscles. Activities like swinging and climbing are therapeutic for her. They help her feel more comfortable in her body because this vestibular and proprioceptive input helps regulate and center the nervous system. There are lots of terms for this process, but ultimately self-regulation and sensory integration are vital supports for development. They help with learning academics, but also with learning motor, social, and self-help skills. SI helps kids be present so their bodies and brains can successfully participate in life. Evaluating Kira was my first step in assisting her. I explored her particular sensory sensitivities and investigated her patterns of reaction. I also examined which sensory systems were working well to support her comfort and engagement. I saw her educational environment was a sensory landmine. School magnified every difficulty. Once I understood Kira's sensory integration challenges, I created a 3-part intervention plan to help. First, educate her family and teachers about SI. Second, adapt her environment to make it easier to deal with. Finally, work directly with Kira to help calm her trigger points and minimize intense dysregulation. Initially, I taught her mom about SI. It's easy for parents and teachers to hold the misconception that SI problems are a kid being bad or having emotional issues. When families understand that their child needs help, not harsh discipline, it changes the whole dynamic. Understanding is a powerful tool. Then we adapted Kira's environment. I recommended an enclosed tent to hang out in at home and baths instead of showers. We went thrifting for super soft clothes that wouldn't hurt Kira's skin. We got swings and a climbing structure. We encouraged activities that regulated Kira's nervous system, bringing her calm and relief. I also worked directly with Kira. We found activities to engage the strong parts of her sensory processing systems and calm the overactive systems. Sometimes this was totally effective, and sometimes Kira withdrew into herself like a cornered animal. We had to work hard on building resilience, trust, and self-confidence. Kira's experience is just one SI story of many. All the tales are different because everyone's sensory systems are unique, and individual differences aren't usually problematic. The causes of serious dysregulation are not always clear, and usually our differences are welcome. It's only when our reactions interfere with functioning that we need to get help. I wish I could tell you that Kira lived happily ever after, but I can't. She started bathing and wearing clean clothes again. She better communicated her sensory needs to others and used strategies to help prevent dysregulation. She returned to school. She cracked a smile occasionally and didn't hate herself quite so much. Kira also continued to be hypersensitive to sensation. Anger, fear, and self-worth reactions were still challenging. Self-regulation may be a lifelong challenge for Kira. We helped build supports with her, but could not give her a calmer body in which to reside. It sounds like a defeat, but for Kira, it was a transformative victory.